So, the Mavs won. It took overtime. A career high, I believe, 16 rebounds from Dorian Finney-Smith, and a historic performance from Luka, but we won. I'm doing my best to sound positive due to the fact that we did end up winning the game. But it's just bad when you win a game, but it still doesn't feel great. I like to think that my expectations of this team are pretty realistic. And coming into this bubble situation as we build toward the playoffs, we kind of knew we probably weren't going to move up. We knew we had the potential, but it was going to take the teams ahead of us to falter a little bit. I think at most I expected we could potentially get to 6, but I didn't really care. Regardless of moving up or not, I did plan for us to go into the playoffs with the idea of stealing a game or two. The other teams losing home court advantage also made me feel a little bit better about our possibilities to make some noise in the playoffs. But the first two bubble resumption games did not make me feel good about that idea at all. As it started to shape up to look like maybe we were going to end up lined up with the Clippers, it definitely didn't feel good. A lot has been revealed over the past few games, and I worry about our depth. That was my main concern coming into the bubble when I realized we weren't taking advantage of the opportunity to expand our rosters, to add more depth. When I realized Willie Cauley-Stein wasn't coming to the bubble as well, as a guy who is already established with the team and could add, just a different wrinkle. He brings something different that our other guys don't bring. He adds more length than Maxey on the inside. He was becoming a lob threat for guys on the inside. He was showing pretty good energy on defense, and I think he could bring, I don't know if he showed too much of it in his time, but he could bring a little bit of that toughness that we're missing right now on this team. It just feels like we're playing the same kind of rotation of guys, or we're getting performances from the same guys. Like with Luka, KP, pretty sure they're both going to give us over 20 a night. And then usually we'll get a performance from a third or fourth guy in Tim Hardaway and Seth. Tonight, no Seth at all. But Finney-Smith stepped up, so that was good. The interesting part of watching this team, I think that was the you know what? I'm going way too deep into this. I wanted to do this cold open. I like doing the cold open, just kind of putting my thoughts out there with no intro music, none of that, just kind of how I'm feeling right after the game. So I'm probably going to keep doing that. Just come out, say what I'm feeling. If y'all like that format, let me know. If you don't, let me know that as well. And I did want to say before I get into the real meat of the episode, thank you to everybody who listened to that last episode. If you're hearing this, thank you. That means you're listening again right now. So I can't tell you what I expected when I started this podcast. It something I put off for a very long time. But the response that I've gotten since I started it is way beyond anything that I could have expected. So again, thank you guys for checking in. I'm going to go ahead and drop this ad real quick so we can get into the real stuff. Okay, welcome back to the 12th edition of the Bibs Corner podcast. I am Mike Bibs, as always, with you. It's time to get into the meat of this game here. So we already discussed it. The Mavs won. It's our first real win in the bubble. Yay! Congratulations to all who survived this stretch. It was an interesting game. It did not feel at any point like it was good. We felt like we were down 30, even though we were down like 4 or 5. We just felt like we weren't going to get over that hump. Waited till late in the game to do so, forced overtime, and then really took control sort of down the stretch there in the overtime. Still kind of shaky to close it out, but we got it done. So considering how the previous 2 games went, I'll take it. I think the stories of the game, Luka had an up and down performance in this one. He started the game ugly. It was bad. There was talk about, people were mentioning the fact that he acts like he's hurt a lot after a bad play. And there was a few times where that happened. There was a couple times when I was legitimately concerned about his health. And I do realize, I think that's just part of how he plays now. That's just part of his game, sort of. So I'm going to have to try not to fall into the boy who cried injury status with him on that. He did end up having a huge line, 34 points, 20 boards, 12 assists, and 2 blocks. I believe 30, 20, 10 has only been done 4 times since the NBA-ABA merger was the stat I saw. I can't remember who posted it. And the other time, one of the other 4 times was done this year as well with Jokic. So clearly the NBA is in great hands right now. But early on, I was worried about Luka because of those things and the fact that the rest of the team did not appear to have shown up either. But he completely turned it around, especially in the second half. So there are a few things I want to discuss about what I saw from Luka in this game. First of all, great on-ball defense from him. And I was going to tweet it after like the second time he did it. But just when he was on an island with the guy trying to penetrate and get past him to the hole, he stood his ground every time. He seems to have a good understanding of his size and length, and the fact that most guards who are trying to take him off the bounce don't want to have to shoot over him. I don't know if he's been practicing with Maxey or what, but just his footwork and staying in front of guys and just not staying tight on him, because that's not what he's going to be known for. He's not going to be a clamp up type guy, but keeping the guy in front of him and depending on his length to contest the shot if the guy tries to put it up over him. That's pretty much what Maxey does. Maxey gets a little bit lower in his stance and could come out further probably than I would expect Luka to, but Luka in that mid-range to interior, when it comes to playing one-on-one on defense, he's been holding his own, and that's encouraging to see, especially in this game. I really honestly think that some of the plays that he made in those type of situations were big in kind of waking the rest of the team up, because early on in that game, and Luka was a part of this too, there was just so many plays, and we've seen it all throughout this bubble, probably throughout the season. I can't remember that far back, where the ball swings a few times on offense for the other team, and eventually it gets to a guy who's like completely wide open, and so wide open that you're not even sure who his man is. Sometimes it's Luka's man. That's one of the things that I mentioned about him coming out of Europe and into the draft, was that he has a tendency to lose his man on defense because he likes to ball watch, and a lot of the guys on the team do that. Tim Hardaway is another guy who does that. People give him credit for working hard when he's on ball, but off the ball, a lot of these guys just aren't very aware of their man, and if a team is patient, they can pick us apart because of that. And but again, on ball, Luka was great tonight from the 3-point line. I think that's a theme that we've kind of been talking about in these past few games. I think it was 1 for 9 in the first real game, and I think it was 0 for 3 the last game. So tonight he was 2 for 6, and that is really all I kind of expect from him on a realistic basis. A 2 for 6 from 3 game is a good Luka game for me. in my opinion. I'm not. Of course, he's gonna have hotter games, and he's gonna have colder games. But if he's 2 for 6, 3 for 7, whatever the case may be, that's a good game from him. It means he's taking at least one a quarter to keep the defense honest, and he hit a couple to again make himself a threat in that way, and then have the feel if he ends up having to take one late in the game. He had 6 turnovers in this game. 5 of them were in the first half. And that's just, again, a testament to him really locking in that second half. I think that one of the other running themes that I've been talking about is his tendency to get into the lane and dish the ball out. He seemed to, I can't remember if I talked about this on the pod or if I did this on Twitter because I'm just communicating way too much. But he seems to have a tendency to read the floor before he drives and then drive and then make a decision to kick out. And a lot of times the floor has shifted since he started his drive, and he'll just throw the ball directly into the arms of a defender. Those are the types of plays you expect a young guy to make as he's still figuring out the speed and whatnot of the NBA. I expect that Trae Young makes a lot of those types of plays. I expect Ja Morant makes a ton of those types of plays. Those are guys that enjoy distributing the ball and setting up their guys, and they did it at a high level at their previous stop. And now they're in the NBA, and the guys are longer, bigger, quicker, smarter. The scouting reports are better, and they are having to make those adjustments to figuring out when they can do those types of things and when they can't. In the second half of this game, Luka was very deliberate about his decision making. I think he had one bad one, or the only turnover he had in the second half, I believe, was a really bad one where he again threw it directly into the arms of a defender. But the majority of the time when he was going inside with the idea of scoring, or he knew he was driving to set up a man. So there's a difference between driving and then dishing to somebody and a driving to set that person up. When you are driving to set that person up, you're driving because you are expecting a certain reaction from the defense and then reacting to that, to getting that decision. That's what James Harden does. And that's where Luka needs to get on a consistent basis, where his drives sometimes feel like he's just doing it because he can. And he's very aware of where guys are on offense, but he's not necessarily aware of the defenders. And that's who he needs to be paying attention to. You have to trust that your guys are going to be in the right spots, but you have to know where the defenders are and how they're going to react to what your moves. I'm getting way too technical here, but that's the thing that I think made a big difference between Luka in the first half and the second half. Now, when he did that, it didn't always pay off, but I was glad to see him making the right passes, the right decisions in the second half more often. There were a ton of breaks from guys not finishing some of those plays, and that's not on Luka. And I think if guys were in their zone, in their pocket, like they should be, I won't say should be, let me dial that back, like we would like them to be, it could have been, the game could have gotten really, we could have had a big lead, we could have turned it around quicker, but I think there's still some things that aren't clicking yet for the rest of the team. The last thing I wanted to talk about with Luka was, again, he got to the line, a good clip, 8 for 11 from the free throw line. Double-digit free throws is what we need from Luka. We also need that from KP, and we also got that tonight. 22.7 boards, was just 6 for 18 from the field, and 0 for 7 from 3. But 10 for 11 from the line keeps his stat line looking legit. It means that he's being aggressive on the inside, and that's what we need as well. You can't just shoot jump shots all day. You have to have an interior threat, because if you're just shooting jump shots, then you're leaving part of the playing field open. It's like a football team that just runs the ball. The team's just going to pack the box. Or if you just throw the ball, teams aren't going to pack the box. You're just going to sit back on going to play a zone on your all day and just wait to for you to make mistakes. That's pretty much what we put the position you put yourself in when you're just shooting threes. Teams are going to lock out on you on the perimeter, knowing that that's all you want to do, and that's easy to defend when it comes down to it. That kills all your analytic thoughts about 3-pointers being good shots. They're not good shots if the other team knows you're shooting them and it is just keying on that. If they know you're driving to the paint isn't a threat, really. Getting away from that, KP, again, not a great shooting game, but solid performance overall. Did what he had to do. DFS, yes. So Dorian Finney-Smith is one of the guys who appeared to have not shown up at the bubble these past few games. Tonight, he looked like the Dorian Finney-Smith that fans fell in love with over the past couple of seasons. He was hustling on the glass, 16 points, 16 boards. I'm going to pull it up because I don't want to just talk loosely. Let me get back over here. He had a horrible shooting game, 4 for 13. A horrible shooting game, 1 for 7 from 3. But he still managed to get 16 points because his activity on the interior meant that he got to the free throw line for 9 attempts and made 7 of them. He had 6 offensive rebounds in this game out of his 16 total. Tim Hardaway Jr. also had 8 free throw attempts and made 7 of them. So just looking at those 4, Luka 8 for 11, KP 10 for 11, Dorian Finney-Smith 7 for 9, Hardaway 7 for 8. If we're getting to the line at that clip and making them, we're going to put ourselves in a good position to win no matter what else is happening. If we're getting rebounding from Dorian Finney-Smith and that activity, we're going to put ourselves in a good position. With Seth out, we needed somebody to step up and fill in that hole, and Finney-Smith 16 is about what we would have needed from Seth, and compared to what Finney-Smith had been doing, that's the difference right there. What else? Hardaway did have 22 and 5. He had an okay shooting game, 6 for 14, 3 for 9 from 3. And he had a few big shots late. He looked like he really found his confidence late in the game. And we, again, need that from him. I hate to think that he only stepped up the way he did because Porzingis fouled out. But either way, it was good to see, and hopefully it carries over into the rest of the bubble. The 5th starter tonight, with Seth out, was Juan... I'm not going to do that. J.J. Barea. He played 14 minutes total. Put up a ginormous stat line. 1-1-1-1. I don't even know what to call that. I was going to call it a quadruple single, but I don't want to allude to Draymond Green references. He had 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal in his 14 minutes. Fans were trashing him online. I won't get into that. Only took 3 shots, 0 for 3. He was a -10 in the time that he was on the court. And again, he only played 14 minutes. I'm going to leave the rest of that alone. Off the bench, we did not get much production. 7 points from Trey Burke, 8 points from Maxey, 3 points from Justin Jackson, and 1 from Boban. Trey Burke has kind of come back down to earth after that huge performance in the first game. I guess people are guarding him now. He was 2 for 5, which is not bad, but in a game where we were missing Seth, it would have been nice to have somebody else step up. He played almost 24 minutes, so the fact that he only took 5 shots is kind of to me. When we needed scoring, the other guy on the bench that actually took a few shots was Maxey. He was also 2 for 5, 1 for 4 from 3. And there were points in this game where I believe Mavs fans were ready to discard Maxey and just throw him in the garbage, which I couldn't even fight because he was just doing some really stupid stuff out there. I think there was one time he got the ball and literally tossed it across the half-court line blatantly. He just made some bad plays. He didn't look like himself. But, again, he did come up clutch late with a big 3-and-D possession. He was doing his job locking up guards who stupidly tried to attack him on a switch. I still don't understand what these people are looking at. Shout out to the Hornets. That's the only team I've seen openly acknowledge that he's a problem and that they have to key on him. I think he was literally their defensive game plan the first time we played them in Dallas this year. So shout out to them for actually having a scouting team that does their jobs. Boban. Let me take a sip on that note. Boban played his customary 6 minutes or so in the first half. Did only have 1.2 boards and an assist. But I'm starting to question whether or not he's allowed to play in the second half. I didn't check all the bubble rules. There were a lot. But it's starting to feel like that he's just not permitted to play in the second half of games. I don't understand. The rotation, him coming off the bench, seems to happen at the same time in the first half of every game so far. But then he just doesn't get any playing time in the second half of games. I'm truly perplexed at that. I don't know. I don't have a line to Carlisle. Maybe somebody who does can bring that up. Is there a reason Boban can't play in the second half of games? So I can stop wondering why it's not happening. That would be great if one of y'all could do that. Justin Jackson made an appearance, as I mentioned. He had 3 points. He was 1 for 4. I'm not going to talk too much about that. Delon Wright played 16 minutes. He had 4 assists. I'll give him that. Won't talk too much about the rest. MKG, I forgot he was even on the team until somebody mentioned him on the timeline. I don't understand what the purpose of him being there is if we're not going to use him. I'm really confused. I didn't like the signing when it happened, and the fact that we're not actually using him makes me even more mad about the fact that we signed him. The themes of the timeline during this game were the bench and what has happened to them. And I honestly kind of addressed this again on the timeline on Twitter, but the versatility is gone. The thing that I liked about our team early in the season, the thing that I thought was our strength, was our depth and versatility, our ability to mix and match our lineups and still be able to give you 2 waves of 5 guys that can ball and cause problems. When we could bring in Maxey and Dwight Powell together, when Brunson would come in and give us some points for a spurt, when we could randomly throw Ryan Brokoff out there and have him splash a couple threes and make defenses confused because now they have to guard this random guy. When we could play Maxey or KP and Boban every now and then together, when we could throw out a lineup with no guards or whatever the case may be, or go with 3 guards or 4 guards and a big. We just don't have that versatility anymore. Luka and KP are having to play almost 40 minutes a game right now just because we don't have the guys to step up and give us those buckets. And I think in that sense, Carlisle's kind of been hamstrung. I don't enjoy, I don't love, I hated at the time that we didn't take advantage of the opportunity to bring a couple more bodies in, just because I think one of the strengths of Carlisle, one of the things about Carlisle I do enjoy is his willingness to tinker with lineups. Like, it's annoying, of course, to not be able to know who's going to play and when, but just knowing that if things aren't going well, that you have a coach who's willing to bring in that 12th guy off the bench to see what happens is something I enjoy having. Speaking of the 12th guy off the bench, Cleveland played 3 minutes tonight. I think he made a mistake and we never saw him again. But he looks like a guy who should be, if we're going to figure out what we have with him, if we're going to give him a shot, I think soon would be the time. I think if Seth is going to miss another game or two, I would let him get the start there instead of JJ Barea next time, and just see what happens. Because if you start him there, then you don't need anything from him with the starting lineup, and anything he adds is bonus. If he does step up on the defensive end, then hey, maybe we got something there, type of thing is how I feel about it. But yeah, that's how I feel about what I saw tonight. Is just accepting that we are not a deep team anymore, that we are a top-heavy team, and that if we can get a good 5 minutes from anybody off the bench at any point in time, then we have to accept that and go with it, and just hope that Luka and KP having to score 50 points a night, 50, 60 points a night, doesn't wear them down during this bubble resumption and going into the playoffs, and that they come out of this whole thing healthy is my big key. So that's the meat, that's the heart of the podcast. I'm gonna take another quick break. No ad though. Y'all won't notice that I took a break. I probably didn't even announce that I took a break. But when I come back, I'm going to attack these questions. I'm going to try to do rapid fire because this podcast has gotten longer than I wanted it to be. So yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back and I'm going to run down these questions. I'm going to try to do like a rapid fire type of session with some of these, and then I'm going to go in depth on others. So again, I got a ton of questions, so thank you all for your responses. I do appreciate it. It has added a new element to the show that I think makes it more interactive, and I like that. So first of all, I'm going to start with my man Mike Berrigan, or Mike Berra 11. He asked for my unbiased thoughts on the Lakers, and I'm definitely not going to spend a ton of time on this. What I will say is congratulations to them on securing the number 1 seed in the playoffs. Good luck with whoever gets that last seed, because those teams are hooping right now. So it should be an interesting matchup. I'm still pulling for the Blazers to get that and push y'all to 7 at the very least. So I think the old man LeBron has been interesting to watch, not interesting to listen to lately. Shout out to Anthony Davis for putting the team on his back and then having LeBron claim all the credit. But yeah, it's been congratulations to them. I do think that the only way, I agree with Charles Barkley, and I seem to agree with Charles Barkley often, but the only way this team is going to win it all is if AD continues to perform. I do think LeBron is able to put the team on his back if he needs to down the stretch of games, but I think that AD is the X factor. If AD shows up, then awesome. If he shows up every night like he has been so far, then his legacy, his greatness will have to be appreciated. I don't think everybody does right now, and they don't have a reason to. You don't matter till you win in this league. So good luck to him on that, and good luck to the rest of the league if that happens. So I think a lot of people are still expecting him to not get it done. So that's an interesting thing to watch going forward. Shout out to Mike for that. Next question. White LeBron 77. You guys are killing me with these names. Biggest free agency need. And I don't enjoy talking about free agency lately. I definitely don't like talking about it during the season. But the one thing I will say about that particular question is I think the biggest need is going to be just a dog on defense, a Ray Lewis type that is going to get everybody to be direct traffic on defense, to make sure everybody's in the right spots, to cover holes in the defense, and just annoy the other team in some way, shape, or form. Not necessarily Pat Beverly levels of annoyance, but just somebody that can cause problems on defense in a loud way. I enjoy KP's blocks. I enjoy Maxey clamping up, but just like a guy that's gonna make a play on defense and go up the floor clapping and slap somebody on the cheeks when they do make a great play on defense. Like somebody that's very passionate about defense. That's my main key for free agency. Next, I got NRD_. Should we throw a bag at Fred VanVleet? No, and that's all I got to say about that. No, I won't do that. I don't think we should be throwing a bag at a point guard. The next person that we give big money to, and it'll probably end up being Hardaway anyway, but the next person I want to have any type of big time money is a complimentary guard to Luka, who is a defensive guy who can run the offense and catch and shoot. I feel like that might sound like asking for a lot, but when I say run the offense, I don't mean full time. Obviously, we want the ball in Luka's hand most of the time, but somebody who can take over for stretches of the game and hold that down, a Jrue Holiday type, for example. I need not just catch and shoot, defense, and ability to run the offense for stretches of a time. So I want a big guard, catch and shoot guy, and a defender. That's the next guy I want. Fred VanVleet does not fit those parameters. He fits two of them, but the most important one might be the defense on that note, as prefaced by my previous answer. So then let's move on to the next one. This was fun. Arsal Hussein 97. And I probably mispronounced that first one. I apologize. ARSAL, and then there's an underscore as well. So he asked if I punched a wall during the kick-out missed threes that we proliferated in this game. I did not punch a wall, but I was working during the game, and there were a few times where I just yelled something out and confused anybody who was within earshot as to what was going on with me. Forgot I couldn't react like normal during this game, so that was fun. So the next question is about Seth Curry, and it was actually asked by two people, Caden117 and Zafri Z. Caden asked, should Burke start over Curry? And Zafri Z asked if the Mavs should shorten the rotations and move Seth to the sixth man. I do believe Seth should be coming off the bench, just because the way we've been playing so far, we're putting our only four, I don't even want to say dependable, the only four people that are averaging more than 15 points a game for us are in our starting lineup currently. I said over 15. I think Seth might be averaging like 12. But either way, our main scorers are all in the starting lineup as it stands. I do believe that we would benefit from moving Seth to the bench where he can run the second unit. And I think that he and Boban have had good chemistry, and I want to see them come off the bench together in the first half and the second half. Somebody please get that to Rick's ears. But I would like to see that tandem be a thing, and of course with Maxey as well. So Seth and Maxey, I think, can have a nice little connection off the bench together. Also, I don't think Trey Burke should be the guy that replaces him. I actually think that I would prefer those two to actually play together in that second unit, because again, we can't necessarily 100% depend on Seth to get buckets, but if they both can come out firing off the bench, that would be great. They're both quick guards that like to get inside as well, and they both share the ball pretty well, so that would be interesting to see. I think that I would put Antonius Cleveland there, actually, because we're getting most of our scoring from Luka and KP anyway. And so with Cleveland and Finney-Smith as the other guys besides the three shooters/scorers, then we have two athletic guys who can crash the glass, can run the floor, maybe put Cleveland on, see what Cleveland can be against the other team's top scorer, those type of things. So that's where I would go. I would go with Cleveland taking that spot and bring Seth off the bench. Thank you guys for that question. I did appreciate being able to think about that. I'll go there. J_Green, shout out to him, asked if Burke was going to be pushing JJ out the door and into the coaching polo. I'm not ready to go there yet. I think he has an opportunity to if he continues to play solid basketball the rest of this bubble and into the playoffs. I would say if he has a big game in the playoffs, and especially if that game ends up being a win, I think he would cement himself as a guy that the team wants to bring back. So that could be interesting. Also have to remember that Jalen Brunson still is out there, so I'm not sure how many small guards they're going to want to have, but that's something to consider as well. The next question. We're getting into the fun stuff now. There were two questions about Maxey. So Panda Hank 41 asked if Maxey has arrived at the bubble after his late game performance. And Cody McCain actually went the opposite direction. And Cody asked, and I want to read his question exactly how he phrased it. Muhammad Ali famously refrained from having physical relations within 30 days of a fight. Question. Why did this make him such an animal, but completely drain Maxey of all his powers? So, where's that question coming from? Well, the thirsty ladies of Mavs Twitter, due to their great investigative tactics and skills, have seemed to deduce within a 90% accuracy that Maxey and his girlfriend have likely split up. This seems to be causing Maxey to not look like himself, and seems to have potentially drained him up. I don't know if y'all can hear that motorcycle that just went by, but that was annoying. Anyway, but yes, the Maxey seems to not be of himself. His girlfriend maybe is on his mind. We don't know. But regardless, he was hooping when they were together. So is it the relationship? Is it the how did he phrase it? The relations that has caused him this drought? We don't know. We're not going to find out anytime soon because the NBA provided everything but groupies to the bubble. So for the I think I mentioned on Twitter, it's going to be an advantage for the married players. I don't know if they're allowing girlfriends or friends with quotation marks into the bubble when they do allow family members and things of that nature, but we'll see. No, I do not think Maxey has arrived. I'm not ready to say that yet. I would love to see him have a game where he hits like 3 or 4 threes and maybe has a big dunk, a big block on a star player or something like that. That's when I'll say that he has arrived. And then finally, the last real question that I received was also asked by two people. So the Don Luka asked, is defense the next evolution of Luka's game? I'll answer that first, actually, because these questions are different. So I don't know if I'm willing to go there. I would love to see him work on his defensive awareness, and if his defense does become something that becomes a signature in any way, if he starts making big plays, if that's how he helps get the team going, I'm all for it. If he locks up every now and then, that's fine. The main key for me would be for him to just be more aware on defense, so we don't have those holes in the defense on missed rotations and things of that nature. That would be great. And then the second part of the Luka defense question comes from Graham_Blakeney. Do Mavs fans have a right to gripe about Luka's defense when he's our only consistent offense? And what I gather from that question is the James Harden paradox. I don't know if I'm using that word correctly. I don't care. The James Harden situation where people say that he is allowed to take off defense because he plays so much offense or such a great role on the offensive side. I don't agree. All we're asking of Luka is to do the bare minimum and not lose his man. I'm not asking him to be prime Frank Ntilikina on defense. I'm sorry, I couldn't say that with a straight face. Hold on. I'm sorry, Frank. You know you're my boy. But no, I'm not asking him to be locking up guys on defense. I don't think anybody expects that of him. We just expect him to not be the guy who looks over to the guy who's 10 feet wide open and then realizes that that's his man. That's all we're asking of him. And I do think it's fair to do that because, again, bare minimum is ball you man principles. Stay between your man and the ball. Be aware of where your man is. Recover to that man so they're not wide open shooting threes over us all night. It takes away from how much you're providing on offense when you're giving up actual points on defense just by not doing the bare minimum. So, finally, moving on. I think that's all I have for the real questions. I did want to shout out the homie Chill Out KC. Much appreciated support. One of the realest ones on the timeline. So I do appreciate you, my brother. So I did want to give you that shout out since you asked for it. And but that's really it, guys. That's all I had. These podcasts have gotten longer because I've added the question segment. I'm perfectly fine with that. My voice is gone right now, so I sound raspier than usual. And but yeah, that's it. Mavs win. Next game is Thursday against the Clippers. I haven't checked in. I need to go. I'm gonna check in right now. Actually, when I last looked, they were down 6 to the Suns. But I think that game should be over by now. Yep, they lost to the Suns. So Devin Booker, 35 points, including the game-winning buzzer beater. So the Clippers Thursday, coming off a loss to the Suns, should be very exciting for this team to see. Could be a playoff preview. Maybe that'll wake the team up going into the game, or maybe we'll get stomped so badly that we wake up after the game. It's a wake up situation regardless. I'm not gonna say what my expectations are. I'm gonna let this win marinate for a little while first. But again, we'll be back Thursday night. It felt weird reading this or doing this podcast right now with the sun out, but we'll be back to it on Thursday. What time is the game on Thursday? 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, it'll be late again that night. So we'll be back Thursday. I'll be covering that. Hopefully we'll have some good things to say about what happened on Thursday. Knowing this team, they'll probably come out and blow the Clippers out, and then I'll be looking goofy, and guys will be saying, "Oh, Bibs, you were complaining, but look at us now, ha ha ha." Whatever, man. This has been the Bibs Quarter Podcast, early PM edition. Thank you guys again for checking in. I will catch you guys on Thursday. Peace.